Welcome to today's Explainer. In this analysis, we're taking an incredible journey back in time. Let's just jump right in. Imagine stepping out of a time machine, taking a look around, and realizing that almost every modern animal you know today once had a supersized, incredibly dangerous counterpart roaming the Earth. That's right. Today, we're uncovering some of the most fascinating and, quite frankly, terrifying extinct megafauna to ever exist.
But before we meet these ancient giants, I want you to let this massive number sink in for a second. 90%. That is the estimated percentage of Earth's fossils that remain entirely undiscovered. It's an absolutely tantalizing mystery. Just think about it. For every mind-blowing ancient creature we've actually found, there are countless unimaginable species buried right beneath our feet that we haven't even begun to dream of. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. Bizarre prehistoric hybrids, evolution's wild experiments. When we look back at the fossil record, we see that evolution didn't just play with size. It got incredibly weird. Just take a look at the Macrauchenia. Now, if you saw this animal out in the wild, you'd swear it was a bizarre mix between a camel, thanks to that long neck and sturdy body, and a tapir, mostly because of that really distinct trunk-like nose. But here's the crazy part. It's not related to camels at all. Its closest living relatives today are actually tapirs, horses, and rhinoceroses.
This thing was so odd that when the legendary scientist Charles Darwin first discovered its fossils, he literally called it one of the strangest animals ever discovered. And honestly, he hit the nail on the head. Despite its bizarre anatomy, this peaceful herbivore actually thrived for a long time before eventually going extinct, mostly due to intense competition with other, more adaptable animals.
And hey, if you thought Macrauchenia was weird, wait until you see the Chalicotherium. Visually, this creature looks like a terrifying hybrid between a silverback gorilla and a horse. It had these massive long front limbs equipped with huge claws, meaning it literally knuckle-walked, just like a gorilla does. Yet biologically speaking, it was an ungulate, placing it squarely in the exact same family tree as modern horses. Crazy, right? Notice the massive claws we're talking about here. You'd probably think they belonged to some vicious apex predator. But actually, the Chalicotherium was completely herbivorous. It used its incredibly tall gorilla-like posture and those terrifying claws not for hunting, but simply to hook and pull down branches from high trees so it could eat the leaves. It is a perfect example of a totally terrifying body structure that was built for a remarkably peaceful lifestyle. Moving right along to Section 2, Supersized Modern Mammals, Familiar but Terrifying. Let's shift gears from the weird to the familiar, but in absolute supersized proportions. We all know the modern beaver, right? Cute, builds dams, maybe about the size of a medium dog. Well, now what's really interesting about this slide is the giant beaver of North America. This guy was the size of a full-grown black bear. Armed with literally banana-sized teeth, this massive semi-aquatic rodent ate aquatic plants and was so incredibly large that it lived completely safely in the very same lakes and rivers, surrounded by woolly mammoths and giant short-faced bears. No predator was messing with a bear-sized beaver. Next up is Procoptodon. Go ahead and forget everything you know about the modern hopping kangaroos. This right here is the largest and arguably most dangerous-looking kangaroo ever discovered. It featured a flat, short face that closely resembled a modern bulldog, which gave it an incredibly intimidating profile.
When we compare them side by side, it gets even wilder. We know modern kangaroos are strong. I mean, they can even drown predators in water if they're threatened. But Procoptodon was double their size. Standing immense and tall, its sheer bulk meant that it was practically untouchable by the terrifying apex predators of its day, like the giant venomous lizard Megalania or the marsupial lion. It just towered right over the danger.
Section 3, the North American heavyweights, unmatched scale. The animals in this era weren't just tall, they carried a sheer weight and scale that's honestly hard to wrap your head around today. Take the Daeodon. This creature had a body the size of a standard modern car. Its head was massively out of proportion with the rest of its body, making it look like some nightmarish giant warthog. Now, even though it had an omnivorous diet and looked entirely pig-like, scientists note that its closest modern relative is actually the hippopotamus. You definitely wouldn't want to encounter this car-sized beast in a dark forest.
And speaking of cars, let me introduce you to Bison latifrons. This is the largest and heaviest bovid in Earth's entire history. To put this into perspective for you, imagine a modern bison, but blow it up to the size and weight of a large SUV.
But the most staggering feature by far was its horns. The distance from the tip of one horn to the other was so incredibly wide that you could comfortably park a standard car right between them. I mean, that is an almost unbelievable scale, isn't it?
So how exactly did an animal get this big? Well, around 200,000 years ago, the Siberian steppe bison migrated from Asia across the Bering Land Bridge, and fascinatingly enough, that's the exact same route early Native Americans took. Once these animals reached North America, they found a literal paradise of abundant food. With those endless resources, they rapidly evolved from their smaller ancestors into the colossal bison latifrons.
So the crucial point is understanding why these magnificent creatures are no longer with us. The massive extinctions of these Ice Age mammals are heavily driven by a sort of rhythmic tragedy. Dramatic climate change at the end of the Ice Age, combined directly with the expansion and hunting practices of human populations, alongside a smaller slice of animal competition and a few factors that remain entirely unknown.
And when you view it on a timeline, it is genuinely shocking how recently we lost them. Procoptodon vanished just 18,000 years ago. The giant beaver and our SUV-sized bison latifrons, they disappeared about 10,000 years ago. And that strange knuckle-walking Chalicotherium was still walking the earth just 8,000 years ago. They narrowly missed surviving into our modern historical era.
Let's bring it home with Section 4, the ultimate giant dinosaur, king of the titans.
To find the absolute ceiling of biological size, we have to travel much, much further back into deep time. And this brings up a massive debate in paleontology. Who is the true king of the dinosaurs? For years, different discoveries have tried to claim the crown of the absolute largest creature to ever walk on land. And this brilliantly illustrates how science is always updating. Recent analyses have actually corrected the record. While a lot of people thought Patagodotan was the biggest, its size was actually overestimated. It was closer to 102 feet long. The true, undisputed king is the Argentinosaurus, measuring a staggering 121 to 131 feet in length.
The stats here are just mind-blowing. The Argentinosaurus weighed as much as 12 fully grown T-Rexes combined. It evolved this unbelievable, colossal size simply so its massive neck could reach the very tops of the tallest prehistoric trees to feed. And for a long time, we all thought the blue whale was the longest animal ever, but Argentinosaurus actually dethrones it. It stretched out longer than two mosasauruses laid end-to-end, completely surpassing the mighty blue whale.
Now, unlike our relatively recent Ice Age mammals, these titans lived in deep time. Daeodon was roaming around 23 to 16 million years ago, living alongside giant terror birds before vanishing for unknown reasons. And our king, Argentinosaurus, it was wiped out 66 million years ago by the famous asteroid impact, which abruptly ended the reign of the most massive land animals the universe has ever seen. We've covered bears the size of cars and dinosaurs longer than whales today, but I want you to remember our starting point. 90% of all fossils are still completely undiscovered. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we speak, what other bizarre, unimaginable giants are resting silently in the earth, right beneath our feet, just waiting to rewrite history all over again? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep your curiosity alive, and I'll see you next time.